There we go. Yeah. Crazy. There's a whole bunch of people just hanging out. Got some signs, waving their signs. You know, the agenda 2030. Medical freedom is mandatory. Gotta keep on cleaning up. Free. Close. Choose freedom. We are all essential. Your paycheck is not an excuse for wrong actions. I don't know if you can hear this guy, but he's going on about the not being able to broadcast or live stream or something. I don't know. I don't think a lot's gonna happen. We've got one cop car just sort of keeping... Oh, hey, we got some solidarity. Right on, some solidarity. It's all a hoax. I didn't catch the rest of that. My glasses aren't on. The myth is Canada. Cool. The myth is Canada. Beautiful Saturday.
We have our charter of rights are the first and foremost important thing that we have, and without the charter, we're nothing. And the police and the government need to stop avoiding the charter and letting people live their lives. There's no more than
Stands off with the police. FEMA camps are next. Human rights come first. Oh, we got a blowhorn. Nobody's using it though. Oh, get out of the way. Car coming. The PCR tests. People telling people looking to PCR tests.
Why don't you come on over here and interview us?
Hey, do you want to? Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Right on.
Like CBC.
No, I'm nobody. I'm just a dude with a tripod and a camera. Sorry, my guy. I can't tell you. I'm not anybody important.
You don't have to be anyone important. You gotta, obviously, if you're wearing a mask, you don't agree with that.
No. I kind of... Huh? My take... Well, I mean, I am not on your guys' side. I'm not going to lie.
So you think there's a pandemic out there?
Oh, yeah.
Why would you think that?
Because people are getting sick and dying.
And what would be your best evidence to that?
Not TV, but the numerous records of hospital personnel. Name one.
You seen for yourself? You know somebody that died?
Do I know somebody that died? No, my friend's grandmother died of COVID, though.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, she did.
She died of symptoms that are the same as cold, flu, influenza, the same thing, okay?
Sure, yeah.
So
those are common symptoms.
What's that?
Those are common symptoms. A lot of sicknesses have those sort of symptoms.
Right.
That's how you
are those
transmit
like,
disease.
Okay, but you know, she's not young, right? She's at an age that probably, 80s.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I know, but she's up there, obviously. Even
Sure.
Great-grandmothers are not usually young, and that's usually end of life. So she took some swab of something that went into a, something that they now identify as cold, flu, influenza. Now
Right.
they call everything COVID. She died of old age, what she died of.
Okay.
She got sick.
Sure.
And when you're near that time of your life, sometimes it ends when you get sick. They came up with another label called COVID because they had a test on it, but they've never isolated this virus anyway. So how can you prove that it sort of disproves everything you just said? If they haven't isolated it, then what is it?
They have a vaccine now. Yeah,
Is that
I know. Yeah,
suspicious?
thank you.
Would that be suspicious to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, but also we're rushing because it's a global pandemic too. Yeah.
So you think that it's not suspicious that the whole world is on lockdown over the sniffles? You don't think that's suspicious?
Over a deadly case of the sniffles? Yeah, no, not really.
Really?
Because
You don't find
we've
it suspicious
experienced-
that overnight everybody's locked down. They have all these measures in place. They have dots for you to jump on, arrows for you to go like a lab rat. And you don't find it suspicious that the plexiglass is up and everything is just
it's called a
done overnight.
It's called a safety measure, and it did not happen overnight. It was a gradual process. We watched this get terrible all over the world before it got here.
Right. How bad what kind of measures do you want them to take? How about this? If you're scared, why don't you just go to the basement of your house, have a tub full of all your chemicals and just lay in it all the time, watch TV porn, and live your life in fear, so that the rest of us can go outside and live life, breathe air.
Last I checked, we're all outside living life and breathing air. I mean, like, nobody's restricted our ability to do that.
What are you talking about? Everybody's walking around like it's a zombie apocalypse. I'm not in fear. You're in fear. My fear is your ignorance, honestly.
Terrified
when I say
right
you're,
now,
I mean everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone
You're not accusing me.
Is living in fear, and I think that's ignorant. It basically exposes ignorance when they put this on. It's because I've already showed you the evidence.
You showed me nothing. You made a bunch of claims and have nothing to back them up either.
Well, actually, we can back it up.
Right. What
I
do
don't
we got?
have the evidence, but Nick will.
What we got? We got some. Okay, cool.
Tall guy here?
Yeah. If he wants to show us some evidence,
Absolutely.
sure.
Nick will come over in a bit.
Yeah, no worries.
He has all the evidence to show you that this whole thing, there's no basis to any of it. Okay.
Right.
Would you change your viewpoint though if we prove it to you?
So what? What?
No, he wouldn't. He absolutely wouldn't.
Oh, you're speaking for me.
No, you wouldn't change your mind. I've had many discussions.
We're not. I'm openly here listening to you guys' complaints. Like, I'm willing to see some evidence. I want. Yeah. If you got some stuff to convince me, go ahead.
Have you ever looked at Stats Canada and they show the actual death rate is absolutely identical to the last 5-year average.
Is it? Right on. What are like? Wait. So the death rates are the same, but what are killing the people as compared to last year? What were the diseases that were top diseases killing people last year, as opposed to the disease that's killing people this year?
That's the thing. There's a lot of things moved around in different buckets.
Okay.
People are still dying at the same rate. They're just dying of something different. And if you look at the fine print of the data for Ontario, they actually have listed that it doesn't matter if somebody was actually the cause of death was COVID. They still classify it as a COVID death. People die of heart attacks and they'll classify it as COVID. So if you have deaths from one bucket down by 10,000, and you have deaths from COVID up by 10,000, the average rate of death, the average age of death is still above the normal age of death. Yeah. What do you have? It's moving buckets around. It doesn't.
Right, okay,
in order for a pandemic to be a pandemic, you have to have a large death from the thing that we're claiming it from, and overall more death in the country.
There have been millions and millions of deaths across the world. So you're arguing that the reason it's not a pandemic is because there needs to be more death?
There needs to be more death.
Oh.
Well, that's all. Especially in New Brunswick. It might be really bad some other places,
Sure.
and I try not to argue about other places.
Right.
But in New Brunswick, there is actually way less death this year. Like, I got papers on mask effectiveness.
Oh, yeah.
And how up until 2020, it was consensus that masks were not adequate for stopping respiratory viruses. But now, as of 2020, there is no science to back it up. I'll tell you. So 2015, 2018, the Ontario Nurses Union, they tried to force the nurses to wear masks in the hospital during flu season.
Sure.
And the Ontario Nurses Union pushed back, and they won their case based on the lack of science supporting masks stopping respiratory viruses.
Okay.
And the key was it was not all nurses. Nurses who didn't vaccinate, they wanted them to wear masks.
Sure, okay.
So they won based on the science. The experts who reviewed the science and said it did not support masks.
So it was nurses who opposed vaccines?
It was nurses who didn't want to vaccinate themselves.
Right, yes. They didn't want to vaccinate themselves, so they didn't want to wear the
hospital
mask.
was saying, if you don't want to vaccinate, you have to wear a mask.
Right.
During flu season.
Yeah, do you think that's a breach? Do you think that's a breach of people's personal liberties? Like, if you're a hospital effective and they want you to wear a mask, that's a breach of.
It wasn't that they weren't fighting it based on breach of personal liberty. They were
No, but all right, sure. If the evidence, sure. Let's say I agree with. Let's pretend for the argument of the sake of argument, I agree with you that the science is off, and it's not. The masks aren't effective. If the hospital specifically, it's our mandate to wear masks to work in this hospital. Like, is that a personal breach, or is that like? Like, if they chose, if they made a
What they said was what the final decision was that forcing nurses to wear masks that didn't vaccinate was a breach of their personal.
Right. Okay.
And it was also just them finger wagging at the nurses for not getting vaccinated.
Right.
So it was anyone that was wearing a mask, they say, you didn't vaccinate, shame on you.
Right.
And it was clearly labeling them. And they actually wanted them to wear a little button. They wanted them to wear a little button saying, I didn't vaccinate.
Right. Yeah.
You can see where the problem is with that, right?
Yeah.
It should be everybody's personal choice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of intelligent discussion happening. Really good stuff. Just a whole bunch of free thought going on.
I can't accept your friend request until Monday because I'm in Facebook jail. So.
Oh right. Oh, was the purge or whatever that happened there?
No, I posted a picture of Hitler and it said the Nazis had one phrase to encompass all their actions, and it said it's for your safety.
Right.
And that was enough to get me kicked off Facebook.
What was the reason they said like it was?
It's against our community standards.
Again, doing
yeah,
this.
If you tell me you're the guy interviewing me, I'll send you a bunch of stuff.
Yep. Apparently I'm making them look bad by being in the street, so I'm going to go back to my side of the street.
All right, take it off.
Take
it off, leave it off.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm way over here.
Take it off for fresh air.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Like this makes sense to you. This doesn't seem crazy.
We made this Canada to get our country back. We gotta declare ourselves sovereign. We gotta get a constitution.
Sovereign citizen stuff, eh?
Oh, sovereign national. We don't use the term citizen.
Sovereign national. Gotcha.
Sovereign national. That's the term I like to use in a sovereign nation.
Right on.
That's what we gotta start using. We gotta stop using the term citizen. We gotta use sovereign national. Because citizen is just another term for slave.
I'm getting some waves. I don't know if people are waving back. Guessing a police officer just to check things out. I think I heard people criticizing the police officer, just the idea that it was a joke. He's there for their safety or whatever. And that's true, he's there for the safety. Coercion is oppression. I don't see any sign of media, which is probably a good thing, actually. I don't think these people need to be like on the mainstream media. The stats are inflated. Sure. He settled down. He turned his stream off. I guess we're getting to the end here. What's up?
You still live?
Oh yeah, I'm still live. I'm still broadcasting everything.
Okay. Why don't you come to the other side and have a discussion?
What
I do know is that this whole thing's a fraud. How do I get the information from my head to your head that this is a fraud? What can I do?
Yeah.
What would I have to do to get you to see this as a fraud?
I'd have to see some really concrete, verifiable evidence. Honest to God.
What
like,
do you consider concrete and verifiable?
Well, I mean,
does it have to be approved and stamped with science from the government?
Yeah, usually, yeah.
That's the problem.
So the problem is inherently that the government is lying to us. I guess.
Yeah,
is that your guys'
about everything?
About absolutely
Do
everything.
I have a purpose in lying to you?
Oh,
Would
no.
I?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you're lying to me. I don't think you'd lie to me.
I don't see any benefit to me.
Right, yeah,
I'm not going to financially benefit from lying to you. Would anyone benefit from lying to you in the government?
Sure, yeah, they do it all the time.
So you admit that they do lie all the time? Huh?
Yeah.
What about history?
History, sure.
Do you think of anything in history as a lie? Or maybe stuff just left out?
Okay, what was left out? What sort of things?
Well, would you know if it was left out?
I guess not. But how would you know if it was left out? You must have found it, or yeah.
They call it history, which means his story. And
Sure.
you go to a place called a library that has the word lie right in it. So they tell you out front that what information you're getting is going to be a lie.
Those
people are conditioned in their mind to say,
Sure.
"Well, I read it in a book; it's got to be true."
But you're taking like the literal phonetics of the word history, and no, that's not how we define the words. That's not how we came up with those words.
If you look at the definition of all the Latin roots, like the word government,
Right. Sure.
government means it's actually a Greek and Latin word together that means govern, which means control, and mint means mind. Both together, it's mind control.
Right.
And everything in this reality that you live in is just part of one big program. But you're down here and you're not seeing the whole thing because you're sort of in the herd with the sheep.
Yeah.
And when you start to lift yourself up and vibrate higher, you start to see, oh, wait a minute. We're all the sheep here, and you got a guy on a horse.
So
and he's
how
talking
exactly?
to the
How
dog over here trying
Sure.
to scare us into the herd.
Sure, but
you got wolves around
how do you?
here.
I
wolves
guess
in
my
sheep's
question is,
clothing.
how are you guys achieving that higher vibration? I guess is how. What are you guys doing to open your minds to this stuff? Like
Well,
to
first
see
of-
to see the
Yeah.
truth as you see it. How
Right.
are you getting to that point? Because like I don't see it.
Condonate without
I don't see it.
Condemnating without investigating is not opening your mind.
Right,
Okay?
right. So just
if I say something to you, I'm trying to get a thought from my head to your head.
Right.
I don't know how to get it because what happens is, and we're all conditioned to do this, is you'll label it. You'll say, "Well, who are you?" Well, maybe you don't look like somebody who's intelligent, or you don't know what went into the thought that I'm
personal
giving you.
biases is what you're saying. Personal
Yeah, so
bias.
if it-
Technically, you did that immediately with me when you looked at me and saw me wearing a mask. You judged me based on
Yes,
that.
I did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I-
yeah. It happens on both sides. I'm not trying to like call you out
No,
for that, but
but-
like yeah, you're right. It happens
I
on both
did,
sides.
absolutely I did. I see you wearing a mask, and I'm just like, I'm so confused as to why anyone would wear a mask in today's world.
Because they're concerned about catching a deadly
Right,
illness.
but I can prove to you that it's absolutely false. This whole thing is just a made-up.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love
Right. So
prove
I
it
want,
to me,
yeah,
please.
I want to give you. You just let me know
Then
what
get-
it is I can do to get the information without you putting a label on it to say, well, you're not a doctor.
the evidence that you have. I'm not saying that you're not a doctor. I'm looking for some concrete evidence. Like
Does it
I know
have to
I know.
be a government stamp on it. Does it
But-
have to have the government and say science and then put it on
Gus,
TV?
government science.
Right.
So we need
There's a
everything.
group of people and they're up here. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
And they get a free ride.
Right.
Because they don't work for the money.
Right.
You work for the money. They
Right,
don't.
yeah, so we're
And
talking
all
about the
major
government, how they-
companies,
yeah,
do you
yeah.
think they pay taxes to? Do you think they?
Absolutely
all
not. They probably
the, right. They
yeah,
get it all
I think-
figured out. So
Yeah, things
they
go
get it-
into shell companies. Things go into offshore oil. Yeah, I know. I
It's
get
all
this. I
set
agree
up
with
in
you
a
on that.
way. The only one that pays the tax, that pays the government, is the people down here.
Yeah, and often we pay for the larger companies tax breaks. Yeah, I know. I
course.
agree with you on this.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So if right now they're shutting down all the businesses,
Right.
and they're shutting down all. They even tell you, they program you to say,
Right.
to say this is going to be your future. They're actually telling you you're not going to even have a restaurant to go to.
Right.
Who makes the decision to shut down the small businesses but not the big businesses?
No.
COVID only spreads in
That would
small
be-
businesses?
No.
Does
no.
that make sense?
No. It
Am
doesn't.
I making any logical sense so far?
No, you're right. It spreads every way.
Right.
Right.
So long as everybody just has a little comfort left and they think, well, I got a pension
Right.
or I'm getting COVID money,
Right.
or they don't know that their back is against the wall. I'm saying right now, your back's against the wall. Start fighting
Right.
with us because you're on the wrong side. And you're not seeing
so-
the whole picture.
All right.
up here.
So,
all the
I would like to
programs
see.
are
Sure.
interesting.
FEMA camps. Yeah. I see
so
that.
They're,
Yeah.
they're
yeah.
all secretly working together. Okay.
Okay.
You didn't know that when you came into this world. So you went. They used to control people with just the churches a long time ago.
Okay.
Now, but they could only just put you in fear of dying and controlling you in that method. And then you think that, well, there's this religion, that religion. Secretly, all the religions were the same one world religion. They always
okay.
were. They all work out the same Trinity pattern. You get into the Krishna, Shiva, but my mind isn't in the phase
Right,
of
no, yeah,
arguing
no,
right
no
now,
worries, no,
okay?
sure.
It's all part of one giant program. So then they
Right.
wanted to get control of you more, so they started breaking up the families and making you think that you needed to get an education.
Sure.
Like your parents couldn't educate you well enough. Like your parents could teach you to read and write and add. They couldn't do that. So they
My
came up
parents
with a
could not
school
do that. Honest to God, my parents would be the worst teachers in the world.
Right. it doesn't have to be from a school system to teach you that. Or do you even need to know that? Is the point.
Well, I mean,
do you think you're better
math,
off spending 12 years of your life? 12 years of your life, if you can make it through in 12 years. I'm just saying, do you feel smart when you finish school? I didn't. I felt ignorant. I felt like, what the hell was that? I felt like the whole thing was a fraud.
What would make you feel that way? Like what would, in your experience in school? What do you think makes you feel like it was worthless? That wasn't worthwhile.
I just didn't feel intelligent, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I felt like they weren't tapping into my mind. I'm a creative thinker. I think in the right brain as opposed to the left brain. Yeah. And the left brain out there is just completely programmable, okay?
Sure.
People don't know this. That's why everyone's walking around like a zombie right now, because they all think from the left side of their brain. And that's why in the Matrix they had the red pill and the blue pill. Blue pill was on the left side, and the red pill was the truth on the right side.
Like, I know that's a movie and stuff, but do you think that's
true.
like
We're living in the Matrix right now.
The concept of a digital reality that
you are in a digital
You don't mean that as like a metaphor, like a literal,
no,
like I'm
I think that you
plugged
right
in the back of my head, like...
No. I think that not that.
No, okay. I just want to clear
But these are all symbolic parts of your mind.
Right, yeah, the symbolism in the movie. Okay,
absolutely.
Sure.
You see it as physical, right?
My you mean the universe around me, the physics, the natural physics of the universe? Yeah.
You see everything as physical. Right?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
You see it that way because you have a body that vibrates on this vibrational physical level, and you just walk around thinking that it's physical, and your mind is already programmed like a computer. It is programmed. And they program you with all this belief system. Everything is a program. Pornography is a program to distract you.
Sure.
Sports is a program to distract you. Everything is part of the major program. You're supposed to wake up and see that everything was all working together, but you're at the point where you're just living in fear. And I don't want you to live in fear. I want you to take the mask off, not be afraid of your failure. Because you're encoded, believe it or not, to know the truth. If you dig inside of yourself, you wouldn't even need to go to school. Believe it or not, you're only using a very small percentage of your brain. I don't do any research, but people are always like, well, how do you know the things you know? And I said, well, I just sit there and I think about things, and I'm working and worrying into your brain and opening up vessels, and you don't take the drugs that they give you.
But you said you did. I'm sorry,
again,
I'm distracting you. I just, you did say you did have like some physical evidence that you can show to people.
Absolutely. But I prove things in two ways, right?
Right.
For me, it's proof in two ways.
Right, you gotta have a conversation.
I could physically prove it through, going out and showing it for myself to say, wow, they told me this.
Right.
But it's clearly not that, and I can prove it to be this, then I have to let all that go.
Sure.
Right? So you look up into the sky, and you think that there's a space and stars and all this stuff makes sense to you, right?
Right.
But what if all these encyclopedias and all this stuff is just a part of one big program, because you haven't lived here long enough to understand how the whole thing works, and that space never existed.
What is the goal of the program ultimately, do you think?
To find God.
You mean each of our goals within the program is to find God? Sure.
But
like the program itself, what's the goal of the is it to keep us from
absolutely.
Okay, so the program is to keep us finding God, but our goal is to find.
It got plugged into a system, and is this just a spirit, and you got born into this system, and you came through a vessel, and there was that's why a vessel, they call it a vessel, which is your body.
Sure.
And it got docked. That's why they call it a doctor that comes and delivers you.
Right.
You grow up into this vessel in a system that you thought you understood, but it was.
Yeah.
But really, the system is designed against you.
Right.
And the truth is everything that has been kept from you. But if you dig inside of yourself, you'll find the truth, because everything is a lie. So do you think there's a vacuum up there? If I proved to you that it wasn't, would you let it all go?
Something that defies all of astrophysics? Yeah, absolutely.
The second law of thermodynamics. How do you have a pressurized system? Because there's higher pressure coming in. That's why when you go further up, it's harder to breathe. We're at a perfect pressure system right now. I think it's like 13 psi or 14, around there.
Okay.
And we're breathing it in.
Right.
Right? So how do you have a pressurized system right here next to a vacuum? That'd be like having a can of Coke pressurized next to without the can. There's really nothing you can say.
Right, because it's all programmed from the education system, right? Like that's the idea.
Working with NASA and all these other programs, but you didn't live here long enough, and you're not in that little society of things. And by the way, the symbol on your hat is that the Romans, eh? You understand that?
This guy right This
Right
guy right
there.
here. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's part of the
official.
lie right there.
Sure, that's official Resident Evil merchandise. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Did you know that's what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I know what it.
Okay.
What you mean that I know it's a Greco-Roman symbol? No, I know that it's merchandise from a movie that I like,
What?
Resident Evil.
Oh, I don't know that, but
Yeah,
basically, as much as people want to call me crazy, nobody can prove me wrong. And if they can, I've been offering ridiculous amounts of money in cash to prove me wrong. Because you know what? I would hand it to them and I would thank them for making me less ignorant. 'Cause
Sure.
I don't want to go through this life being ignorant.
Right.
I want someone to prove me wrong. But people are just programmed to just get angry and use emotion all the time.
What are some of the sources you would use? I guess you say you
Yeah.
don't do a lot of research, but like there's
Absolutely.
ought to be there's somebody who you got to get influences from somewhere. Somebody's gotta like be giving giving you truths or whatever, like letting you giving you some
I
insight.
believe in myself.
Sure, yeah.
I know what you mean. Like who would be my? There's a lot of people that have influenced me.
You know, like some people go like Bill Hicks influenced me.
Well,
you know.
yeah, Bill Hicks. He's part of it. But,
Yeah.
well, Bill Hicks, and a lot of people think that he became Alex Jones.
I'm
not a fan of him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But like, do you think there's anything like anything he does or anything that would like provide credibility to the idea that he could be Bill Hicks?
It's one of those things. It's just I throw it in a box of I'll never know.
No. Oh, sure. Yeah.
I can't prove it, but I put it this way. I work it off this way. If I can prove it to myself
Right.
with actual proof,
Yeah.
then you sort of build from that.
Right.
I'll put out my argument of what I think. Obviously, if I don't think this is a physical reality, I don't think anything is truthful in this reality.
Yeah.
Then obviously, I believe it's probably not a ball spinning through space. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
Honestly, you know what I mean?
Like
It's just one giant hoax, but nobody can let that one go. They
Right.
think that's the
With-
top step of this.
Sure. So what is
That's
it?
opening the door.
Yeah,
You can
and-
prove that for yourself.
Yeah, and so what's your position on that? Like the world's not we're not a sphere
Oh my
floating around.
God,
Like where
no.
are we? What do you think we are?
We are, well, first of all, it's not moving, and you can prove that. It's not curved. That's why they never taught you what the curve was.
Right.
I took engineering, and not once did they ever say what the tangent on a sphere was. That just was not something they even came up. All these other formulas and all these other things in geometry, but they never talk about that one thing because they didn't want you to say, well, let's do something really big like the Earth. What's the circumference of the Earth?
Right.
Which is 24,900 miles around in circumference, which would mean you would have a curvature of 8 inches per mile square is the accepted formula for that, okay?
Okay.
Because it's a parabola. At 1 mile, it would be 1 inch or 8 inches of a drop. Huge. And I took surveying.
Yeah.
8 inches would be down. If you're off by, a quarter of it's like 3 millimeters would be huge. 8 inches is huge.
Yeah, no, that would be huge. But like, you seem to have taken like
I'm a physical guy.
engineering things
Absolutely.
like that.
That's
yeah,
why I
like
look at physical, tangible,
sure.
provable. But
you didn't
I'm
pick
willing
that
to
up
let
in
it all go.
You didn't pick that up in a school anywhere, did you? Or
Oh
did
my
you?
God,
yeah,
no,
no.
they don't
Where'd
teach
you
you
pick
that in school.
Yeah, where would you pick that up? Then?
On the internet.
Like
no,
through
I
like
picked it apart through stuff.
just like trial
people
and error.
Like me, people
Trial
like
and
me
error,
on
right?
the internet saying, go out there and go to the ocean,
Yeah.
and you can see things that you shouldn't be able to see. Every day I walk my dogs, and I go out there to Shediac, and I can see PEI.
Right.
Not all times of the day, but
No.
I get up in the morning before the sun comes out, and I can see PEI. Now, then I Google the shortest distance to it. The shortest, I'm being conservative, is 22 miles.
Right.
So at 20 miles, and that's just straight out, not at an angle that I see the whole thing. So the closest point, you should be 325 feet below the horizon. Below it, standing at my height.
Right.
But I don't see that.
Right.
I see the whole thing. Right to the bottom. So
Yeah.
why do I see it? Because it's not curved. And that's at one point, it's like, why am I holding on to something that I can't let go?
Yeah.
I know there's probably a lot of listeners that would just say, oh, he's automatically an idiot. No, I dare them to stand in front of me because
Yeah.
I could whoop their ass and everybody runs from me. That's how you know you get the truth.
Right.
When everybody's running from you, guarantee you have the truth. Okay?
So when you command enough fear, I'm sorry,
Fear.
that
I
makes
command enough fear
okay.
with knowledge.
Yeah.
People will deny this, but at the Dalhousie University, I destroyed the astrophysics department to the point that they don't teach it there anymore. So they don't teach astrophysics at Dalhousie University anymore, and the astrophysicist had to leave because I said that I was going to stand out front of the school and basically teach everybody what I felt the truth was. He didn't want to have that debate, so he tucked tail and went to BC, and they don't have that course anymore.
Huh, wow. That's
Pretty
impressive,
scary.
yeah.
We're hitting a point now, a pinnacle, where the truth is coming out. People are starting to figure out that this is just one giant matrix program.
Right.
That they've really been lying to you about everything. And when you start to see it for what it is, you'll know why they put chemtrails in the sky. Everything is metal. That's why they spray the skies with the metals. You're a vibrational body that has...
Made up of minerals and yeah.
Yeah, no, but it has electricity in it, flowing in it, right?
Sure, yeah. There are electrical impulses throughout the brain and the nervous system.
Absolutely. So when they're putting metals in the sky, and inside the vaccine is provable, it's metals. It's aluminum derivatives. It's got, what do you call that they have in thermometers? That's why your body always rejects it. You get sick right after. And then you start to show signs down the road. Oh, you got a cancer. You got all these things. We didn't used to have cancers. Technology, they say, is getting better, yet all this, we're getting sicker and sicker. Look, they used to tell us that cigarettes were, like the cure of cancer. So they misinform everybody, and they all start smoking. Now that everyone's hooked on it, see how the lies they just stay there, and nobody can do anything about it.
Right.
Anyways, I get off topic.
No
there, but
no
I'd like
worries.
to tell people everything.
Yeah, no worries.
It's all one big lie.